The concept of the Dark Triad was first introduced in 2002 by psychologists Delroy L. Paulhus and Kevin M. Williams. They identified three distinct but overlapping personality traits that, when combined, create a perfect storm of malevolence: narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. These are not necessarily clinical diagnoses like antisocial personality disorder or narcissistic personality disorder, though they can overlap. Instead, they are subclinical traits that exist on a spectrum within the general population. This means the people who possess them are not locked away in prisons or psychiatric wards. They are walking among us. They are our bosses, our neighbors, our dates, and sometimes our family members. What unites these three traits is a profound lack of empathy, a tendency toward interpersonal manipulation, and a callous disregard for the well-being of others. They view the world as a chessboard, and the people in it as mere pawns to be sacrificed for their own gain. Let us begin by examining the first pillar of the Dark Triad, narcissism. The term originates from the Greek myth of Narcissus, a hunter who fell in love with his own reflection in a pool of water and eventually withered away, unable to tear himself from his own image. In modern psychology, narcissism is characterized by an inflated sense of self-importance, a deep need for excessive attention and admiration, and a troubling lack of empathy for others. But do not mistake this for simple vanity or high self-esteem. True narcissism is a fragile construct, built on a foundation of deep-seated insecurity. Narcissists believe they are inherently superior to everyone else and therefore deserve special treatment. They expect the world to revolve around them, and when it does not, they can become deeply resentful, passive, aggressive, or even overtly hostile. Spotting a narcissist can be tricky because they often make a fantastic first impression. They are frequently charismatic, well-dressed, and articulate. They know how to command a room and draw people in with their apparent confidence. However, as you get to know them, the cracks begin to show. Conversations with a narcissist are rarely two-sided. They are monologues disguised as dialogues. They will steer every topic back to their own achievements, their own problems, or their own brilliance. If you share a success, they will immediately try to top it. If you share a hardship, they will somehow make it about them. Furthermore, narcissists are notoriously hypersensitive to criticism. Even the mildest constructive feedback can trigger what psychologists call narcissistic injury, leading to a disproportionate reaction of rage or a sudden, icy withdrawal. They cannot tolerate the idea that they are anything less than perfect, so they project their flaws onto everyone around them. The second pillar of the Dark Triad is Machiavellianism, named after the 16th century Italian diplomat and philosopher Niccolò Machiavelli. In his infamous book, The Prince, Machiavelli outlined a political strategy based on deceit, treachery, and the ruthless pursuit of power, famously arguing that the ends justify the means. In psychology, a Machiavellian personality is one that is highly strategic, deeply cynical, and masterfully manipulative. Unlike narcissists, who are driven by a desperate need for validation and ego-stroking, Machiavellians are driven by cold, calculated self-interest. They do not necessarily care if you like them or admire them, as long as they can use you to get what they want. They are the ultimate pragmatists, viewing emotions, both their own and those of others, as weaknesses to be exploited. Identifying a Machiavellian can be incredibly difficult because they are the chameleons of the Dark Triad. They do not draw attention to themselves the way narcissists do. Instead, they operate in the shadows, pulling strings and orchestrating outcomes without ever leaving their fingerprints on the scene. They are patient, willing to play the long game to achieve their goals. A Machiavellian might flatter a superior for years to secure a promotion, while simultaneously sabotaging a rival coworker with subtle rumors and misplaced documents. They are masters of the white lie, the half-truth, and the strategic omission of information. If you find yourself constantly second-guessing your interactions with someone, feeling like you are always one step behind, or realizing that agreements seem to shift mysteriously in their favor, You might be dealing with a Machiavellian. They view relationships as purely transactional. The moment you are no longer useful to them, they will discard you without a second thought. The third and perhaps most terrifying pillar of the Dark Triad is psychopathy. When we hear the word psychopath, our minds often jump to serial killers from true crime documentaries or horror movies. However, subclinical psychopathy, the kind that exists in the everyday world, is far more subtle and insidious. Psychopathy is characterized by high impulsivity, thrill-seeking behavior, and a chilling absence of empathy, remorse, or guilt. While narcissists hurt others to protect their fragile egos, and Machiavellians hurt others to achieve a specific goal, psychopaths may hurt others simply because they can, or because they find it amusing. They have a blunted emotional capacity, meaning they do not experience fear or anxiety the way normal people do. This allows them to take massive risks and engage in reckless behavior without breaking a sweat. Recognizing a psychopath in your daily life requires paying close attention to their emotional responses, or rather, their lack thereof. Psychopaths are often described as having a flat affect. They might mimic appropriate emotions when the situation calls for it, but it often feels forced or hollow, like an actor reading lines from a script. They are prone to impulsive, irresponsible behavior and rarely take accountability for their actions. If they make a mistake or cause harm, they will effortlessly shift the blame onto someone else or rationalize their behavior with chilling logic. Furthermore, psychopaths have a constant need for stimulation. They bore easily and may create chaos or drama just to feel something. They are the ones who will lie straight to your face without a flicker of hesitation, not necessarily to gain an advantage, but simply to see if they can get away with it. While these three traits, narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy, are distinct, they frequently overlap. When you encounter someone who scores high in all three areas, you are dealing with a truly toxic individual. Recent neurobiological research has even begun to uncover the physical brain structures associated with these traits. Studies using magnetic resonance imaging have shown that individuals with high Dark Triad traits often exhibit decreased gray matter volume in areas of the brain responsible for emotional regulation, empathy, and social cognition, such as the prefrontal cortex and the anterior cingulate cortex. This suggests that their inability to connect with others on a human level is not just a behavioral choice, but is deeply wired into their neurology. They are fundamentally different in how they process the world and the people in it. So, how do you protect yourself from individuals who are neurologically wired to manipulate and exploit you? The first and most crucial step is education and awareness. By understanding the traits of the Dark Triad, you strip away their greatest weapon, the element of surprise. Manipulators thrive in the dark. They rely on your confusion, your empathy, and your willingness to give them the benefit of the doubt. When you can accurately identify their behavior for what it is, a calculated tactic rather than a simple misunderstanding, you reclaim your power. You stop asking yourself what you did wrong and start recognizing the pattern of their toxicity. The second step is to establish and fiercely maintain impenetrable boundaries. People with Dark Triad traits are boundary testers by nature. They will push, prod, and poke to see what they can get away with. If you yield an inch, they will take a mile. You must be absolutely clear about what behavior you will and will not tolerate. If a narcissistic colleague tries to talk over you in a meeting, calmly but firmly reclaim the floor. If a Machiavellian friend tries to guilt-trip you into doing a favor, politely decline without offering a lengthy justification. Remember that no is a complete sentence. You do not owe them an explanation, and providing one only gives them ammunition to argue and manipulate you further. Third, you must learn to trust your intuition. We often have a visceral gut reaction when we are in the presence of someone dangerous. You might feel a sudden spike of anxiety, a sense of being drained of energy, or a nagging feeling that something just does not add up. Too often, we suppress these instincts in the name of politeness or social convention. We tell ourselves we are being paranoid or judgmental. But your intuition is a powerful survival mechanism honed by millions of years of evolution. If someone makes you feel consistently uneasy, confused, or diminished, listen to that feeling. You do not need hard evidence to justify distancing yourself from someone who disrupts your peace of mind. Fourth, practice emotional detachment. Dark Triad personalities feed on emotional reactions. Whether it is your anger, your tears, or your desperate attempts to appease them, your emotional response is the fuel that keeps their manipulative engine running. When dealing with them, adopt a technique known as the gray rock method. Become as uninteresting, unresponsive, and emotionally flat as a gray rock. Answer their questions with short, non-committal responses. Do not argue, do not defend yourself, and do not show them that they have gotten under your skin. When they realize they can no longer elicit an emotional reaction from you, they will eventually grow bored and move on to an easier target. Finally, document everything. This is especially important if you are dealing with a Machiavellian or a psychopath in a professional or legal setting. Because they are masters of deceit and gaslighting, they will routinely deny things they have said or done, making you feel like you are losing your grip on reality. Keep a record of emails, text messages, and the dates and times of significant interactions. Having a paper trail not only protects you from their lies, but also serves as a grounding mechanism for your own sanity when they try to rewrite history. In conclusion, the world is full of complex, multifaceted individuals, and not everyone who exhibits a selfish moment or tells a lie is a member of the Dark Triad. However, those who consistently display the toxic triad of narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy pose a genuine threat to your emotional, psychological, and sometimes even physical well-being. They are the emotional vampires of our society, draining the empathy and goodwill of those around them to serve their own endless appetites for power, control, and validation. You cannot change them, you cannot fix them, and you certainly cannot love them into becoming better people. Your only responsibility is to protect yourself. By recognizing the signs, setting unbreakable boundaries, and trusting your own instincts, you can navigate the shadows they cast and step back into the light. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and never let anyone make you question your own reality.